Hey everybody, it's Ash here with the Profitable Sign Maker. I'm just base coating today and I thought we'd hop on and just chit chat and answer any questions that you guys might have and all of that. You might see my phone, like this thing is really, it's touchy that I've got my phone on. I've got this new device that it follows me wherever I go, which I thought might be kind of cool for the live as I'm kind of moving about with everything. But I've got all of these boards here and I am working on base coating. I had a custom growth chart come in, and so I'm working on getting a really nice, pretty finish on it. But yeah, I just thought that we would chit chat and I'll show you guys kind of how I separate out my wood for base coating with what can be white, what can't be white, and like some tips and tricks. So I'm gonna get this on as you guys pop on, say hello to me, and we will chit chat and give you guys a little bit of tips and tricks today on how we determine like what boards can be white and all of that. So we work with MDF and then we also work with pine. And the pine selection, I don't know how you guys feel if you've been using pine, but man, the pine selection is like rough right now. Not the best quality. There's a lot of knots, dealing with bowing, of course, this time of the year. That always happens for us. But yeah, so let me get this final coat put onto this here and make sure we've got a nice even deal. I'm sure this is probably moving about. Is that annoying? I don't know. I've already got my sides all done and I've already got one coat put onto this here. Hopefully it's not moving about, but it is moving quite a bit, isn't it? Hopefully it's not too annoying for you guys. It's really sensitive. I've got my phone. We got this here a few weeks ago and we've been playing around with it. We've got my phone attached to it and you can use like your hand to do like this and it will pick up, like it'll stop moving now. And then if I do this, it will turn it back on. But it is pretty sensitive and I talk a lot with my hands, so hopefully it won't be too annoying to watch. I see it is moving quite a bit. So as you guys are popping on, tell me where you're watching from and ask me any questions that you guys have about painting, about your business, about anything, paint parties, me, my business, all the things. Let's chit chat today. Make this worth your time. What questions do you guys have about painting? As soon as I get this on, I'll kind of go through and show you my process of what I do. I've got my boards kind of laid out here that I have put a finish, like a sealer, kind of before we get started in with the base coating if my boards are going to be white, just to be able to seal the tannin into the knots. But man, you want to talk about a difficult process trying to find a good pine board that's 6 foot long without knots. Not something that's easily obtained, but I want a real nice smooth finish on this. Yeah, if you guys are just jumping on, tell me where you're watching from. What state are you watching from? I am here in Missouri, if you are brand new to me. For standard central time here. How do you choose between MDF and pine on a project? So that's a great question, actually. Projects that I for sure don't want to do frame, if I'm just working kind of in bulk, I want to do in pine. Okay, so there's one. But do we still use pine for framed pieces? Yes. Anything that you want to be a little bit lighter weight or you want like a shape with, a lot of times we will use MDF because we have a laser cutter and can cut out circles a lot easier than you can, you know, by hand with a jigsaw or something like that. So it just really kind of depends on what we're working on and Clint does a really cool framing technique that he prefers to do with MDF that's thinner. And it's basically like a double frame. So we'll use MDF for those kinds of pieces as well. Can I ask again? I have a Thunder laser. We have a chop saw DeWalt that we use for our pine. I have a Titan that I use for cutting stencils, but a lot of our members have Cricuts and Silhouettes with them that they use with the stencils. But I have a Thunder. Let's talk about creating in bulk. So I kind of have my bulk here. If you do not know, pine wood has a natural bow to it. So whenever I go to pick out like what's going to be white and what's not, anything that doesn't have a lot of nasty knots like this here is what I call a nasty knot. Like that's a nasty knot. This here is a fairly nasty knot. You guys probably know the wood. It's got a lot of different knots in it and all of that kind of thing. This here is not going to be an ideal white board. Now, the boards that look like this and even like this where it has a little bitty knot in it, these here are good white boards. But even if it has a little bit of a knot in it, I love to use shellac. To be able to seal the tannin is what it's called, that is in your knots, and eventually they leak out and they'll yellow your boards and everything. So we use shellac on all of our knots of boards that we want to be able to use that is white. Okay, so we do that, and then I usually am a black and white gal, but I don't know if you guys have noticed all the trends and whatnot, but the whole antique, vintage, wood, all of that is really in style now. So we are, instead of gonna do white on these, we're gonna do a stain on them. Okay, so then your boards are gonna have a natural bow to them. Can you see where this kind of, like it bows here in the middle? So we wanna make sure that we are gonna paint where the bow basically is on the back side, so the corners that are bowing this way are gonna hit the wall, not this way where it's gonna rock on the wall, if that makes sense, okay? So we wanna make sure that whenever we're doing that, whenever we're like, you know, putting them in the pile, we hold it up, we look to see where the natural bow is. I see that the bow is here. So I'm gonna flip it over, I'm gonna paint on this side. So I have come in and I have treated this with my shellac, okay? And I do that on all of my boards that I go through. Before I paint, I make sure to see where the natural, sometimes they're hard to see, but like this one here, it's a little bit more difficult to see, but you can't, do you see where this kind of goes up a little bit here? So we wanna make sure that we're gonna paint this side. It looks a lot straighter. See where that kind of goes up, that bow is gonna start right in here. So all of these boards here are gonna be white boards. All of these boards here are going to be stained. Is there anybody on the live that has never like watched me before, don't know who I am? I just showed up in a news feed and you just clicked on and you're like, who the hell is this person? Let me know if there is, if you would like to know a little bit more about me or if you have any questions. But I have been a sign maker. It's crazy, you guys. This April will be 14 years. We are doing a bulk paint day tomorrow. So, I've got several stencils over here that have not been used yet that I need to paint up, and I've got this full wall in here. Did I show you guys? I know I did inside the CMM, but have I showed the page here, our new workshop space? I posted a reel this morning, which I had scheduled I scheduled out content for the week, last week, and the reel has tanked this morning. I'm like, what? So, but other reels do very well. I feel like Facebook just decides, oh, today we're gonna show engagement, and 3 days later you can do the exact same thing, but we're not gonna show that. So we just gotta kind of keep showing up, I guess. I always tell everybody, I don't think it's the product, it's the eyeballs. The more eyeballs you get, the better opportunity you have to sell your product. So the goal is to get your ideal people to see your product. That's all you have to do. That's all. That's it. That's all you have to do. I need to get some more white paint because we used to use wood putty. We use wood putty, which we still do, but we didn't ever specifically treat. And the wood putty will help cover, but it still shows, through in time. And one of my members at that time had told us about shellac, and we started. Can you guys believe the CMM in July will be 7 years old? That's my painting membership. We've had that program for that long. On our off season, my craft friends have talked about doing some research on what customers are willing to pay for handmade creations. Do you find there is a top limit for something similar to yours, Spackled Bunny? That's a great question, pricing question. People always have questions about what to price. The hard part is coming up with an exact formula, and I see people come up with formulas for you to download as an email grab and all that, and it's not a bad idea. I always have a little bit of a problem with that because so much of it has to be based kind of on our industry, but then also where you're from. Is this paint dried up in here or what? It sure as hell is. I'm trying to get paint out of something that, look, it's all dried up. Here I am sitting here. Good grief. I need to get more white paint out. I have to refill my bottles. I hate that. I bet I haven't done it in a year. Because I am about out. As far as pricing is concerned, so like my bunny, here locally, I would probably charge, what did we charge for that? Oh, I don't think we put it out for sale yet. We just did our class with it. So for a class, I'm doing it for $50. Sell-wise, I would probably do it for, it's a 24-inch. It's got 2 or 3 pieces with it. Cost me probably maximum $7 to make. Then we have our time and everything with it too. Did you get it? You're so strong. Oh, well, it's not dry, so that's good. I would probably charge here in my store $30 for it, but I'm charging $50 for the class, for the instructions, the experiment, or not experiment, the experience. They'll get a piece of carrot cake that comes with it. They're gonna get 3 real touch tulips. So hopefully that helps answer. Essentially you need to be able to double what you have in it, and then you need to charge for your time as well. But then there's also the industry standard. So obviously if we are making something, like I max probably have $7 wrapped up into that spackle bunny. By the time that I have the MDF, I have the carrot cut out, the spackle, paint, all of that, probably a max of, if I have $7 all wrapped up into it with my ribbon and everything, double that's 14. Well, I'm not gonna do something like that for $7. Nobody should, right? So if you go into Etsy and you kind of take a look at like what 8 by 24 inch or hand painted pieces are, kind of get an idea, and then you need to take where you're from too. Because what I can charge $30 for here, it might go for $55 out on any of the coastal, or just kind of depends on where you're at. I am smack dab in the Midwest in a town of 1,000 people. Just kind of one of those things that really does depend on where you're at. Now I can, if I am profiting, $18 to $20 for that, and it literally takes me 20 minutes to be able to make, Bada bing, bada boom. It's easy to do. You know, I can make 3 of them. That's $60 an hour. You know, if I can make 3 of them in an hour, something like that. But there's that industry standard of what people around you are selling things for. What are they selling for on Etsy? Like I'm doing a custom growth chart and I charged $80 for it. This here on Etsy is $150 to $130. So it's just kind of, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things that like, I understand where people are coming up with these pricing formulas and what you need to make and how much you want to make hourly and those kinds of things. But it really is truly like based on where you're at. Because even like out on the East Coast, you might not be able to get the supplies and make it for $7. It might cost you $14. So it's really difficult to put out a blanket statement of how to be able to price your product. Now, of course, I'm always willing to be able to help you with it. The more experience you get, the more tools that you have to take that into account as well. You know, I have to charge more for my product now than what I did before I had staff and I had lasers and computers and cutters and all the supplies and, you know, all the additional taxes that go in with owning your own business and just all the things. You know, we have a building now. Whenever it was just me and my husband and me going down, cutting the wood, making up the designs myself and painting them, I could charge $10, $15, sometimes less for certain projects because I didn't have any other out-of-pocket cost. You know, but the more experience you have, the quicker you are, the better you are. And like any other trade, you know, people pay for experience and your reputation and those kinds of things too. It's really hard, I feel, whenever I see, and I've seen some people come out, you know, and they'll have this blanket. It's not that it's a bad idea, just to give you an idea, but just to say, okay, here's a blanket way to be able to price all handmade products. It's fairly difficult to do that because you do have to take your industry standard. I mean, this here I'm going to charge $12 for, and it might cost me $1 or less to make. There's a lot that goes into it. It's hard just to take your product cost plus your hourly cost. It's really kind of an industry standard too, and your location of where you're located at. What do you put, Kathy Davis asks, what do you put as a finishing coat to protect it from weather that doesn't turn yellow? I just use a spray sealer, but I always let my customers know, like, I don't create outdoor signs. Wood is meant to shrink and expand, you know? And so it's kind of one of those things that I let everybody know, if you want this to keep, you can, you know, continue to spray it every year, but it is definitely going to be best outside. You know, wood signs, unfortunately, outside, they're not going to be a forever sign. If people want a wood sign to be a forever sign, then it needs to be inside. Outside is not the place for wood to last for years on end whenever it comes to, you know, paint. I mean, look at the old barn wood and everything, which barn wood's so cool to work with. But, you know, the paint falls off of it and all of that kind of stuff. So it's just really not meant, you know, to be a long-lasting sign. I mean, I'm talking years on end. Now, you're going to get a good 4 or 5 years. They're probably going to be done with it before the sign is actually wore out. But I always tell everybody, if it is meant to go outside, make sure that it's under a covered porch. You know, if you want to extend its life and seal it every year themselves with, you know, a spray sealer, semi-gloss or something like that. Olivia, I'm doing a Galentine's paint sip, and a local jewelry company donated $400 diamond necklace to give away at the event. Ooh, that's fun. We are going to do a bulk paint day tomorrow. I've got a ton of designs here, actually from the bonus SVG month that we had in December. Really funny is the SVG Club. That was the bonus. They were funny stencils. I have them laid out over here that I haven't got to paint yet. But we've got, back in the day, I did paint parties, and I did them in my garage. And there was a wall in there, and I called it the wall. And on that wall hung a ton of signs. Have you guys seen the wall? Have you ever seen it? That's what I called the wall. And I would do live sales from it. And people who came to my paint parties, they could shop from it and that kind of thing. Well, we have created in my building here, we have what I would refer to as an area that looks a lot like the wall, except it's bigger. And I told the gals, with us kind of getting a little bit back into workshops and everything, that I wanted to have signs and make the wall and go back to true blue rye oak. Rye oak is my retail business. And so me and Andrea are going to have a bulk day tomorrow. So I am bulk painting these signs. I've got little odd end pieces of wood just everywhere. So we're going to set in. I'm not going to leave for the weekend until this is done, which shouldn't be a problem since we do reusable stencils, to be able to get these done. I'd say there's probably 30 to 40 signs. So we should, I've got my chamber meeting tomorrow. Try to get a petition signed tomorrow. I'm all into it, girls, with the city here. So I'm going to the chamber tomorrow and try to get a petition signed and present to the business chamber and how we need their support. I'm in the thick of it here with my town. I mean, I can't make this shit up. How far advance of a holiday do you normally work? Not very far, Crystal. I don't get started in on Christmas until probably October. As far as like seasonal stuff, probably about a month out. Now, that's different if you're selling online. If you're selling on Etsy, you need to be working a few months ahead because you need to have the stuff listed when people start purchasing it. I just had the brick and mortar, which we're kind of changing things out. So actually I worked on spring, and usually a month or two ahead. I worked on spring, and we're going to have our spring sale in February for my retail customers. Never rolled, and I'll tell you why. I don't like the nap on a roller. I've tried it. I don't like the finish that they give. Does that make me picky? Does that make me a type A? It would be quicker. I do not like the finish. It always seems blotchy. Regardless of whatever kind of nap, because I've tried multiple. I've even tried this kind of more of the, like a foam instead of the regular roller. I don't know. I just do not like the finish that a roller has, and it seems to be a little bit more blotchy too. So yeah, I have tried it. I just don't like it. It would be a little quicker to do that, but if you don't like the finish of it and it doesn't give you the coverage that you want, then it kind of defeats the purpose. Because I have to go back in and touch it up anyway with the way that I like my boards to look. So I haven't ever done that as a technique that I prefer. Now everybody's going to have their own preferences with everything. We've tried all different kinds of things for time saving stuff over the years for sure. I've tried like painting the boards ahead of time and then being able to just like cut them after they're already painted, and then just go back in and have the edging, so that way I could just do one swoop back and forth. Didn't care for spray paint. We tried spray paint, didn't like the look of it. With that SVG Club, you'll get a login. Now, it's different than the CMM. Your SVG Club has that current month's SVGs on it. And then those go away, and then the next month comes on. Then those go away, then the next month comes on. That's why we also send you out an email. However, that is automatically, like with our program that we have, it's automatically set to where we pull the emails for that next month, if that makes sense. So we pull the emails, everything's automatically goes out for the SVG Club. So if you join during that month, that email has already gone out. It goes out on the first of the month for all those members. So you need to log in that month. If you're like, shoot, I didn't do that, just send us an email. info@creativemakermovement.com, and Kathy or Bonnie can get those SVGs to you if you missed out on them. No problem at all. And you do not get past SVGs. But let me talk to you about how you can. You can go to the website. Our supplies website is up and going. Ooh, which I should actually tell you guys. I'll talk to you guys maybe about that tomorrow or something. Well, I mean, I guess I can talk to you now. I'm just BS. But the SVGs, they are available on creativemakersupplies.com. So we have our supply website is finally back. So with the SVG Club, how that works is our members get exclusive rights to everything for a year. Those designs do not go public for an entire year. You get those. But after those retire, they go on to our website, Creative Maker Supplies. And you can get our SVGs for $3, and you can choose the vinyl or the mylar, or if you want both of them, it's $5. And that comes with your commercial use and everything like that. So you can buy past SVG files on our website. So if you go to Creative Maker Supplies, it's different than the memberships or subscription ones. If you go to Creative Maker Supplies, you can get those along with stencils and everything else. But before you buy stencils, let me tell you something. If you are a part of our supplies group, Creative Maker Supplies, that's what it's called. If you're not, find that Facebook group and join it. It's a sales group. We sell supplies. So we're getting into stencils. We sell our printed canvases in there. We do greenery in there. We were actually just talking about maker apparel. We haven't done shirts in a while. So we're talking about doing that. Blanks, that kind of thing. Those are all the things. We just have a different theme that we pick, and we do a sale in there usually a couple of times a month, just depending on how much ship out and everything, but usually 2 times a month is what we do. We do a sale, we try to ship out within 1 to 2 weeks, and then have our next sale. And then again, it just kind of repeats itself 1 to 2 times a month in there. How do you mentally and financially handle slow seasons without letting them shake your confidence in your business? It's been a struggle. It really honestly is. Kayla, I'll tell you, I've been in business for a long time, and it's not easy. It damn sure is not easy. It's really hard. We have had, major ups and major downs to match it. It's something that you really have to ask yourself, how bad do you want it? There's always going to be slow seasons that you have to prepare for in retail. Generally, January is a fairly slow month. It was wild whenever I sold on Etsy. For whatever reason, January sometimes was a good month, but I'm wondering if at that time people might have had gift certificates and stuff online. I'll tell you, it's really tough, but generally January, especially in brick and mortars, are fairly slow. Those are usually the times. So you have to kind of prepare, I guess, for that as you're selling in your October through, for us, September through December, mid-December has always been good. And I have to prepare for that January and February slow season. But usually what I do is I just know that going into it. I know that January and February is going to be a little tough with sales. So from there, I have to still make myself feel productive though, right? Like if we're just kind of sitting around and we're thinking like, man, like sales aren't coming in and everything. I go into it knowing that January, February, it's going to be slow. And I need to think of some cool paint parties I need to do. This is I'm going through some of the stuff that's happened through the year. So paint parties that I could do to help supplement whenever online sales weren't coming in. Also be thinking about some different programs that I need to be able to invest in myself to improve what it is that I do, whether it be my processes, learning something, learning another platform, working on another stream of revenue. So as you guys know, I've cut back a lot with everything that I've done, because business just changes throughout the years. As of right now, I have closed down my brick and mortar as a Monday through Saturday store because our foot traffic was so low for the last 2 years, because we had 4 businesses go out of business here in town. Now, before you're like, oh my God, they went out because 3 of the businesses went out because they were owned by one person and there was a major divorce and the couple split their ways. One business here locally went out. Very unfortunate. It was a flower shop, and I just think people aren't ordering flowers as much anymore. That's that, but it really did. Once those businesses were no longer here, it really did affect foot traffic here in town. So the brick and mortar just wasn't doing very well. However, the one thing that we do know is that events do really well. So as you're in business and you continue to go on, like I said, it's tough. Business is tough. If you can last for 5 or 6 years, maybe you already have, you're going to know the things that work and things that don't work. And then there's going to be things that's worked in the past that don't work now. And you just have to kind of keep trudging forward. You have to have I don't give a shit attitude. I'm going to do this, and buckle up and find your way to be able to make the money. Sometimes that might be running sales. It might be doing a live. It might be learning another stream of revenue. As of right now, I have my SVG Club. I have the CMM membership. I have my event loft. I'm doing pop-ups here at the store. Well, we're doing paint week as we're launching it, but that's really not it. That's just part of our CMM launch and just a service that we do here with finding new people and for our customers and stuff that's already here. Then we have our supplies group. And then we have a retail group as well. So we've got multiple streams coming in and making all of that work. So if you're to that point, you need to be thinking, okay, I need to be productive and I need to make money. The very first thing you need to do with that is you need to create an audience that is your fangirls. Thank you guys for being mine. But you need to do that, whether that might be paying for some ads to get fresh people on your page. Creating a community around your product is key during those slow months that you can pop on. I'll never forget it. You got to build your audience first, and I know that that's something that's really hard to do. You know, if Facebook isn't your deal, do TikTok. If TikTok's not your deal, try Instagram. You know, sell online. There's all different kinds of ways to be able to build an audience around your business, and you have to have that. It doesn't matter. You can build the most beautiful website, but if you don't have a way to drive traffic there, it's not going to do you any good. And most of us that I know, as far as crafty ladies, we're not real techie, right? We're just not. So trying to think of ways to be able to run Google ads and be up there with those kind of companies, that's an overwhelming process for 90% of us crafty women. We just want to make shit and make it pretty, right? Like, that's what we want to do. We want to make pretty shit. That's what we do. And I'll never forget this. Our air conditioning went out. $2,500. And I thought, how am I going to come up with this? Not in the budget for the month. It was either $2,500 or $1,500. I don't remember now. It's been many, many years ago, but I was doing live sales at the time. And was it $1,500 or $2,500? Gosh, it's weird how those things get lost. Those details get lost as time goes by. You know, I mean, it was a significant amount of money. And I thought, man, this was not in the budget. And I had a live sale. And I think it was $2,500. And I was able to pay for it all with that live sale. It was an extra live sale. I did like a 4-day lead up to it, and I did a live sale, and I painted and painted and painted some more, and we were able to cover that. So think outside of the box. Can you do classes? Can you start a Facebook group to be able to sell your stuff? You know, can you do kits online? There's all different kinds of ways to be able to make money with hand-painted stuff. It's just what fits you with your business, and what are you willing to sacrifice, and what are you willing to do to make it. It's really hard, but man, business is a mind game. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise, that you can or can't do it. It's just finding a way to make it work, and there's different ways to be able to do that. Hopefully some of those ideas that I gave you are at least a little bit of inspiration. I know it's not easy. I know it's not. So Kayla, please don't be a stranger. You can go to creativemakermovement.com, Tammy, to be able to sign up for the SVG Club. If you click Paint With Me, there's the SVG Club there, and there's the CMM. So those are the two programs that I have as far as membership. The SVG Club is $10 a month. The painting membership is $47. Have you ever considered doing a collective with the building? I thought about opening up a paint store. I'm sorry, not a paint store. Why did I say paint store? An antique store. I have thought about doing that. I don't honestly think it would matter what we did right now. The foot traffic just is not here in Coal Camp. It wouldn't matter if we had the doors open with 5 of the best makers. I mean, maybe if we all had the social media accounts and was all marketing, maybe. But what we're noticing is people aren't able to come to Coal Camp and spend the day because there's not as many stores here. Does that make sense with us just being in a town of 1,000 people? You know, but Coal Camp, small towns, I feel like they always kind of have their comebacks. We had actually the towns that were sandwiched in between. They both have had, like, man, they were about dead, and then some businesses come in and things kind of start happening again, and that will happen here in Coal Camp. I have every bit of faith that it will. You know, we have Dollar General, we've got Casey's, we've got some really unique restaurants here in town. We do have a little local grocery store. A bank and insurance companies are all here. It's not like we're dried up. It's just going to take the right people to come in and want to have, like, you know, event type businesses. An event by meaning, like, you know, wineries or stuff like that, that women want to come and spend the day here. So it'll bounce back and it'll be okay. It wouldn't really matter at this point. I mean, it would help pay for rent for me, but it's not going to change the foot traffic any, if that makes sense, in here. And then that also comes down with sharing my space. Not that we don't have the room here, but just a whole other deal whenever, you know, you give people access to what's yours. I'm in a small town also. I'm definitely a hustler. I needed this encouragement. Kaylee, you can do it. I mean, I'm in a town of 1,000 people. I sold on Etsy, Amazon Handmade. I've created 3 different websites over the years. I've got VAs that work in different states, and there's some years that are great and there's some years that are crap. And that's just business. You know, and you might find other products, you know, that you can do. We got into doing hats. You know, so we did hats. We do apparel. We do our printed canvases. You know, there's other things than just painting. But when I first started out, for the first probably 7 years, this is all that I did. I didn't have the space for anything else, and I didn't have the want to have to learn anything else after the whole process of everything. Girls, I painted this. I got to talking and I painted it on the wrong bow. This will have to be one that Clint frames. So you can do this. You can make a living with it. We are going to start our workshops again. You know, you can go to schools. You can hustle it. If you've got the drive, you can. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't. I'm living proof that a small town girl can. And people aren't, you're right, the economy is not the best. This week here was kind of all about like base coating, getting this, going to the chamber, trying to get my petition done. And if you guys don't know, I'm becoming Erin Brockovich for the crafting community. I'm in a fight with about vendor licensing with the city. Trying to get all my ducks in a row with everything with that, and you know, trying to kind of fight for the vendors, the crafters that come, that our city should not put a licensing on them. I don't agree with it whatsoever. It's already difficult enough to find good quality vendors, and then just adding additional licensing and cost to people, I just don't feel like it's right. So that's what I'm doing. So I've been in a hot pursuit with this for next week will be a month that I've been in the middle of it. So our theme for CMM Live, Golden Girls, thank you for being a friend. That's my theme. So we are going to be dressing up moo-moos and wigs for our meet and greet day as the Golden Girls, or your favorite Golden Girl or something, but moo-moos and wigs with Golden Girl theme is what our in-person paint retreat theme is. So all weekend long we'll be hearing, it's going to be so much fun. She always teaches one project. I usually do 1 to 2 projects a day, and then we'll have a guest artist come. And I usually open up with a motivational talk or a funny story of mine tied into something to the whole theme. So like last year we did all seasons, and we did the 80s. So it was like a time era. So like my talks were all about the seasons of your business, and they were motivational talks about as you go through your journey and the seasons and all that. So this year will probably be a little bit more about community and different stuff like that. Thank you guys for joining. I hope that this was somewhat helpful for you and you got something answered. And shit, I need to throw this away. I'm still trying to get paint out of this one. I think I've got some bad news. I think I'm gonna have to go get paint. I hate going to get paint. All right, you guys have any more questions? What I'll do tomorrow, I'll have all of these base coated tonight. And what we'll do tomorrow is I'll go through and do my stencil selection and put my stencils with the boards that I want and how many boards I want to go with it. And then we will start in with bulk painting. So I might pop in the morning as I'm getting organized just to show you guys, like, it's really helpful if you're trying to get ready for a show, or it's even helpful if you've had, you know, several orders come in for 1 or 2 designs too, to see how the bulk process works and get to watch maybe me and Andrea a little bit. I use all kinds of paint. I use Deco Art, I use Apple Barrel, I have Valspar, Dixie Belle. I mean, I use all kinds. I'm not a paint snob. I do prefer acrylic. I don't usually like the smell of chalk paint. Dixie Belle doesn't have the smell. You guys know what I'm talking about? I haven't tried every chalk paint, but a lot of chalk paints do. Like that Waverly, I can't do the smell of it. But I just prefer acrylic. But I do like Valspar. I mean, like an indoor, like a, you know, and it can be cheap, you know, especially just for base coating and stuff. My black, usually with my black, I just do black apple barrel. White is difficult. White is a tough one. I've used all different kinds. I'm on the Americana white now for a lot of what I've used. But these here are Kills. The Americana, it's okay. It does not have the coverage that Kills did. But the other stuff doesn't work as well. I don't know. White paint's always a difficult one. All right. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Make it creative. I don't even have a cup of coffee. I'm drinking water today. Can you believe it? It's true. So have a good one. Cheers for my future cup of coffee to yours. Bye. Cheers from my coffee cup to yours.